Biz Podcast here at Florence Square, Sacramento's Black Wall Street at 2251 Florence Road here in South Sacramento. And we are so happy to have you here. We got an exciting show today because I say that it's always exciting. Have you ever watched Steve Harvey on The Family Feud? He always says, we got a good one here. Pretty much the same thing, okay? We have a good one here. You guys didn't show any love for Steve Harvey, Family Feud? No? Is it just me? Just me? Okay. Thank you, Kristin. Thank you, Kristin. Or just having somebody else, you know? So today, our topic is going to be COVID 1 year later. As you know, around February and March, COVID hit, and our lives changed drastically. All of a sudden, we started wearing masks and not seeing our smiling faces, and we could actually sneeze without saying, excuse me, you know? Oh, yeah, wonderful things like that. And so I decided to put together some fascinating people from all over the country, and I'm going to give them 15 seconds to introduce themselves. Let's start with Ms. Natasha Jackson.
My name is Natasha Jackson, and I'm in Jonesboro, Georgia.
All right. And what is it that you do there?
I am a paralegal at a personal injury firm.
Fantastic. And you are also a mom, correct?
Yes, I have 3 children.
3 children.
21.
Okay, go on.
16 and 5 this year.
Okay, look at you. Nice. And so you are going to talk to us about from the standpoint of the mom, okay? The parent.
Yes.
All right. And then we have Tameka Tutt.
Hey, Tameka Tutt. I am a major in the United States Army from Sacramento, California, currently stationed in Fort Irwin, California, and the nearest city being Barstow.
Wonderful. And so you are going to represent the military portion of this conversation, okay?
Okay.
And then we have Khalilah Guzman.
Hi, I am Khalilah Guzman, as he said. I'm actually Aaron's niece. I'm a physician assistant, and I'm also a mom of a teenage boy.
And you are going to represent the medical part of this, right?
Yes.
All right. And then we have Kristin Smith.
Hi, Kristin Smith. I live in Sacramento, California. I teach primary younger grade students in elementary school in the northern Sacramento area. And I'm also a parent of a now 14-year-old and an almost 5-year-old.
Okay. And then we have Tracy Shaw.
Good evening, folks. Tracy Shaw. I am the co-owner of Crowder's Variety Store, located at 2251 Florence Road, also known as Florence Square in Sacramento, Suite 151. Also work for a software company and am the father of 2 young men, 22, and the oldest actually 27 today. So,
Okay. Well, congratulations. Okay. And Kristin, as I mentioned, you're going to be representing the teacher. And Tracy, you're going to be representing the retailer. Okay. So way back, you know, now everything is, well, that happened pre-COVID, you know. Oh yeah, you know, did I meet you pre-COVID? You know, we kind of say that now. And I remember listening to the news and hearing about this thing that's happening in China, and people are saying, well, I wonder, does it have a chance to hit the United States? And some people said, nah, that's not gonna happen. Well, other people said, yeah, that's, you know, I mean, we've had things like that before, but it really wasn't too worrisome. I don't think many people were too worried about it. And then all of a sudden we started hearing more and more reports about it did hit the United States. People getting sick, and oh my God, they're dying. They are dying, and oh, we got to wear masks and wash our hands. And here I am, the marketing manager at Flower Square, and myself and the owner were debating every day, should we open or close the facility, based upon the directives of the government, of our governor, right? And it went rather quickly from being ain't no thing to, oh my gosh, this thing is really serious. What should we do about it? So what I'm wondering, in your world, how do things go way back in February and March in terms of how you first started to hearing about it and what started to happen again in your world? And who wants to go first?
I can go first,
Okay.
Tameka Tutt. And so again, this is from, my perspective, not speaking on behalf of the military.
Yeah.
But we were actually getting ready to get on a cruise, and all of the news was coming in. It was around March. And so we were like, well, at the time the command was like, well, there's nothing really restricting you. You can go, but if you get quarantined on a ship, it's going to suck for us if something big comes from it because you're the chief of logistics at the hospital. And so we decided to play it safe, didn't go on a cruise, thank God. Next thing you know, it was like Ebola all over again, as far as readiness, PPE, do we have enough? When's the last time it was serviced? And so it's almost like a panic mode. Panic because we hadn't done an exercise like that in so many years, but almost muscle memory because we do frequent exercises for like natural disasters and things like that. But immediately once we did our inventory and realized, yeah, this is what we have available to us to equip our staff, we didn't have enough. And then expiration dates. Just because it sat on the shelf, we plussed all up during the Ebola thing. And then COVID came and we weren't really ready. And so here we are, stateside in the, the US, looking at our limited number of resources and how we're going to support our home. And then also looking at our mission that is abroad. So we have we are embedded all throughout the country. And a lot of what we do is we assist these other countries in helping them build up their own military, helping them build up resources for their country and things like that. And so here we are in a position to where we have to take care of ourselves first, as well as taking care of the other folks. And if we don't take care of the other folks abroad, then we could look at potential security issues, right? Because if that, look at NATO or whatever as an example, if they're not equipped to defend themselves, then here you have these other countries trying to take over. And so it was chaos. It was chaos home station. It was chaos for our folks overseas. How were we going to protect them? How were we going to protect our allies? So everything was very like readiness and resource restrictive. And it wasn't until about a couple months ago that we finally started to get a routine push of PPE and being able to support our folks abroad, our allies, as well as our team, our family, and our community here. And
Okay.
so just
Okay, good. So yeah, you could see that there were no answers over there yet, right? No one had the answer, right? So, Khalilah, what's happening on your front?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, what was happening with you during that time?
Yeah, so in the beginning, it was pretty chaotic because no one really, there weren't really any guidelines, when you're a provider, a practitioner, physician, you go by evidence-based medicine. We look at the guidelines, we look at previous studies, and we didn't have any of that to go off of. So it was just a lot of trial and error, trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work, trying to understand the disease. But of course, while all of that was happening, people were getting really sick and people were dying. Healthcare workers were getting sick and they were dying. And it was really, really scary. Initially, I didn't want anything to do with it. I didn't want to, work in any type of emergency situation and expose myself to that, especially as a mother. I was actually kind of afraid because I was hearing about physicians that were getting sick, PAs like myself that were, getting sick, ending up in comas, ending up on ventilators. And, I had previously worked as a neurosurgery PA. So, I've been in the ICU and I know what that looks like. And I didn't want to end up on a ventilator. I didn't want to take that chance. So initially, I was kind of like looking at things, I guess you could say from the sidelines, but then as things started getting more chaotic, especially in New York, I'm from New York originally, and particularly in the neighborhood that I grew up, in the area that I grew up in, Queens, I was hearing about people that I knew who were getting sick and dying, people who were my age. And it just kind of lit a fire in me. And I just wanted to help.
I watch these zombie movies, right? I don't know if you guys are fans of zombie movies, but when you watch the beginning of the zombie movie, everything's fine, everybody's going about their life, right? And then all of a sudden you start hearing things, and next thing you know, by 15 minutes into the movie, everybody's run for your lives. So I'm wondering, Khalilah, in your world, when was it, okay, it ain't no thing? How long did it take? Like days, weeks, until, oh my goodness, this is serious?
I would say for me, sometime around February, like the beginning of February, is when I realized that this is really, really serious. It's spreading very quickly. There's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of unknowns. And that in itself was scary. Just the unknowns, the fact that there was just all this information going out there, from so-called experts, and then the next week or the next day, even, it was a totally different story. We would get information that, okay, this is what we're going to do to treat these patients, or this is what we're going to do to protect ourselves. And then, the next day it would be something different.
Right.
That was very frustrating.
And so, Natasha, as a mom and a professional person as well, were you feeling apprehension as well, or did you think that it will all blow over? And what were you thinking about your kids?
So for me, we actually were in New York for my grandmother's homegoing services in March of 2020. And it seemed like just as we were getting out of there, the first week of March is when you're hearing it all over the news, and everybody's talking about coronavirus. And we're in a hotel, so we're around people. This was before we really started wearing a mask. We're looking at people, you cough, and it's like, hold on, So then we got out of there, got back home, and then we kind of just stayed in our bubble. But as far as work, we didn't, our office didn't shut down until maybe like the third week of March. My boss finally decided to shut down. Then what got me though was he opened back the office in May, and it scared me. I wasn't ready, but it was kind of one of those things like you either come back or I'll bring somebody else back, in your spot. So, I'm going to work with my mask, with my hand sanitizer, my gloves, all the protection that I can have. As far as the kids, they, were out of school. Juju, my middle son, he missed his 8th grade graduation. So we had to kind of do a Zoom thing and, make it special and fun for him. Talia was out of school, my 4-year-old, she was out of school while I was out of work. But when I went back to work, I checked in with the daycare just to see what their procedures were. And I felt safe sending her back because they didn't bring everybody back at capacity. And then my oldest son was in school in Florida, which I didn't want him to go back. Number one, I didn't think he was going to take it serious enough to protect himself. So I was scared about that. But then all around me, I just keep hearing, well, you got to deal with it. You still got to live. You still got to work, this, that, and the other. But I never really felt comfortable. So once the office closed, we just kind of stayed in our bubble. And even now, a year later, we're still, not having people over. We're not going places. We're not going to restaurants and things as much.
Don't be skipping ahead. Okay.
Am I going too far? Did I go too far?
Sorry. You went too far. That's right. Save it. Okay. So.
Sorry.
All right. So then.
But it's scary to say the least.
Okay. And that leads me to the teacher of the children, the ones who you, the parent, give to the teacher and say, whoo, he's yours, she's yours for the next 5 hours. See ya. Okay. Wouldn't want to be you. or something like that. And so, Miss Kristin Smith, why don't you tell us from a teacher's perspective, how were things going when it first started to hit this virus thing?
We have a house of very political people, so a lot of news going on in the background. So I was kind of aware of what was going on and how things were progressing kind of in the background. And, even one teacher made up this, version of freeze tag where kids were playing Corona tag. And she's joking, I've never seen tag be so popular. And I'm thinking like, she thought it was funny, but I'm like, that's not funny. Like people are dying, But I was in a unique space because I had just finalized my adoption of my youngest daughter, and I was taking leave of absence. So I was able to have a pizza party with my class, say goodbye, and I was on my parental leave when everything got shut down. So I'm thinking, great, they're not going to take it out of my check to pay for the sub. So I was like, this is awesome. A couple extra, so many days of the school being closed, I'm not getting deducted from my pay for this. So I was like, okay, this is good. But then as time went on, weeks had gone by and you realize like school is not opening back up. And then when I go to close my classroom in May, I had a little breakdown because I knew, the levity of the situation. And I knew that it was not going to go back and I wasn't going to see my class again. And all of the things that we do on a normal day it's not going to be like that. I'm not going to give my students a high five and a hug in the morning if that's what they wanted. I'm not going to be able to open up my classroom library and have them lay around on the carpet and snuggle with the teddy bear and read a book. All of these things, there's not going to be recess. There's not going to be all of these things that, make school what it is. It's not just about, the essential stuff, but it's also these other things. And so, I kind of was aware, but I wasn't prepared for how long things were going to continue.
Yeah. And so, during that time, people started to, the government started to close down. Here in California, it was very aggressive, and honestly, I don't fault him for that. You know, other states not so much, but around the country, people were beginning to not go to work and were losing their jobs, right? And so then you have a unique person, the entrepreneur, and the entrepreneur, they rely on people making money, so they have money to spend, and they rely on people coming into their shops if they're retail. And so, Tracy, can you tell me, what were you feeling when all of a sudden you started to notice that, you know, people were losing their jobs, not having money, and perhaps not coming into your shop as often as they would?
Well, you know, what's beautiful about you asking me is that you were kind of there right down the hallway from me. So you'll be able to refer back to some of the things that I'm going to say. First things first is it was right around February, March, where the first impact to my business was I had to let my sister-in-law and my niece and the young lady from the community go, right? I mean, there's just no budget because there was no traffic. And then, well, first of all, it was about safety, right? Because we weren't sure, and no one was at the time, just how contagious and how serious this thing really was. We had heard a lot of news stories, but no one was really sure. But we quickly erred on the side of caution, not just Browder's Variety Store, but Tom, the owner of the building, right around March, April, shut the whole building down. So we being in the back of the building, you know, even if the doors were open, nobody was coming in there. And if they did come, they weren't coming all the way to the back of the building. So the impact on us was almost immediate and pretty severe. But, you know, mentally, what it did for me anyway is I was kind of in a position of somewhat of hypocrisy, because on the one hand, I was kind of scared to death to be out there, you know what I mean? Because there were the news story that said, you know, African Americans are getting the virus, you know, exponentially more than other folks, and all, you know, all that news and all that information was coming to us. And so I was battling that and being deemed an essential business because we sell, you know, toilet paper and water and things that people needed. But what I think helped me make my mind up about what side I stood on was Amawole, Margot, good friend of mine, Terry. These are people that we know around the village that actually came down with the virus. And 2 out of the 3 people that I just named did not survive it. So, you know, the impact was real. And for me, you know, as an entrepreneur, it's always been, this is not my first business. Each one of my experiences has been a faith walk. And so, to be honest with you, man, my thing was like, you know, Father, if it's not my time, then I'm just going to go out here and serve the community as best I can with my hand sanitizer and my mask and everything else on. And, you know, when I get home, I'll stop in the garage, throw everything in the washing machine and, you know, and going about my business. And so that's kind of, that's been basically the mode of operation since then. Mine is, you know, we've kind of relaxed on how we come and go from the house. You know what I mean? It's not as extreme as it was.
So you are listening to Square Biz Podcast, the official podcast of Flower Square, Sacramento's Black Wall Street at 2251 Flower Road, South Sacramento, in the heart of South Sacramento. And I want to mention that we have, honestly, we're excited. Last Saturday was the grand opening, the re-grand opening of our Sojourner Truth African Heritage Museum, which is one of 5 in California. You got 2 in San Francisco, 1 in Oakland, 1 in Fresno, and us, Sojourner Truth. And we are expanding it from 800 square feet to 4,000 square feet. So it's going to be a thing of beauty. It's going to be a thing of beauty. In fact, not going to be. It is right now a thing of beauty, but it's going to be beautifuler. Yes. Hey, it's a word. Look it up. Okay. And if you want to look it up, you can look it up in our magazine. Okay, Square Biz magazine. So it is out now, and it can be found at Flower Square, and it can be found on the mall in the pop-up satellite office. Which, if you have not been, and I'm talking to all of you guys, there's no excuse. Jump on a plane. Well, okay, maybe do not jump on a plane. Drive. Okay, take a horse, take a camel. It's okay, and come over to Flower Square and check out not only the magazine but also the museum and over 60 businesses. Okay, all minority, 90%, 85 to 90% Black owned. Where we call ourselves Samuel Black Wall Street, we mean it. There's a reason for that, and we are family, which is kind of cool because during COVID, we were helping each other succeed. You know, there was a lot of entrepreneurs who went out of business because of COVID, but in Flower Square, that did not happen. That didn't happen. I think we lost one directly because of COVID. And so we are very proud of that. So I wanted to talk to Tameka as it started to, move on, right? And 2020, as we know, was a horrendous year. Not only did you have the presidential election, otherwise known as the Freedom Tour, okay? But then we also had George Floyd and everything that happened because of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, help me out. There's like a list of
Breonna Taylor.
There we go. Yeah. And this went international, right? And in the midst of all that, you had this thing called COVID. And of course, people were saying, well, I don't understand. If we can't go out to this party or this disco, how come they can go protest, Yeah, so there was all that. So what were you thinking, Tameka, again, from a military standpoint and from a personal standpoint, as we moved closer to the end of the year and the beginning of 2021, what were you thinking?
I mean, from a military perspective, I was thinking like, this has always existed and now it's coming to light. Because not only in our own community was the racism, going on, it was happening in the military ranks too, slowly being exposed, unfortunately, due to a lot of deaths over in Fort Hood, Texas. I'm not sure if you all are tracking that, but so it was kind of like a culminating, 2020 kind of culminated a lot of racism that was going on in our community, but as well as our military, and forcing the military, and not just Army, when I say the military, all branches, to really look this racism issue, systemic issue in the face and force the leaders to deal with it. And so on top of COVID, everybody's trying to combat COVID, make sure our people are ready to deploy. It was this racism. And one thing that the military is very good at is reacting to things. And so the first thing is typically training. This time, due to the increase of extremism and hate and all these things going on, the military went from a lot of PowerPoint, computer interactive type of training to face-to-face. So that's one thing that I would say. It sucks that, you know, we had to lose lives in order for this to actually happen, but they took it more seriously, and all of our training as far as extremism, hate, racism, that is now required to be face-to-face. There's no more print out this PowerPoint, hand it around the room, and everybody sign off on a sign-in roster. It is now, I will put eyes on the trainer on the person sitting in the room, and you will interact. So I will say they finally are starting to get it right. There was changes in our grooming policies to acknowledge, I mean, something as simple as if you had an afro or braids, that was considered unkept. Your hair was unkept. Now, if you have coarse hair, you may not be able to pull it back in a ponytail, you know, and so they revised the grooming regulations, which is like very, very good for a lot of us. So what used to be really geared towards minorities and African Americans, they've no longer have that verbiage in their regulations to say, oh, if you were Afro, that's not professional.
Wow.
You know, and so a lot of change on top of COVID, you know, making sure that we reach. I actually had to do a Facebook Live, but, you know, trying to reach our minorities to say, hey, there's a vaccine out here. It's working. This is not an experiment per se that is going to wipe out all of the African Americans. We're not testing on you. This has been tested. We want to continue the research. You know, so it's just a lot. They wanted kind of not African Americans, but minorities to stand up and say why they took the vaccines, how it's changing, all while amid the hate and racism going on. And so just 2020 was like in your face.
Okay.
Deal with
Okay.
it.
Yes. And so, Khalilah, the same question from a medical standpoint. Now we're getting towards, you know, the holidays, right? There's Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's and pretty soon 2021. What are your thoughts, you know, from a medical point of view about this gradual procession towards 2021?
So many thoughts. First of all, I think, like everyone else, I'm over it. We're all over it as healthcare workers. But we've kind of gotten a hold of how to care for people, how to prevent, you know, things from getting worse moving forward. We have a much better grasp of the science behind it, a much better understanding. So certainly I think, you know, there's a lot more hope, especially with all these vaccines that are available now. I've been vaccinated twice. My son is next. And, you know, I think we're all just really hopeful about that. I'm actually going to be helping with the state initiative vaccination here in Illinois. So just like I helped with the testing initiatives and initially being on the front lines in the beginning, I feel really good, really proud to be a part of this whole process. And I'm just looking forward to the end.
Yeah. And we always tell military people, and we mean it, thank you for your service, but good Lord, you know, all of you, the teachers, you know, the military, and of course the frontline people, the parents, and the essential team, thank you all for your service, because we could not have gotten through this without you. Lord knows I need my toilet paper. So hey, you know. So
that's the most important thing.
Well, you see, I figured I mentioned that, you know. Tasha, so from a mom perspective, again, same question. now you want to, I mean, who wants to give up Thanksgiving? Who wants to give up Christmas? Who wants to give up New Year's? So from a mom perspective, what were you thinking about the holidays? And again, getting into 2021.
For us, it was kind of easy because we're in Georgia. We have family. Well, my husband has family out here, but we don't get a lot of company or traffic. So it kind of really brought us together and brought my, immediate family closer. We weren't expecting nobody to come over. We weren't expecting anybody, to go anywhere. As far as bringing in 2021, we were just praying that, the virus would go away, that we'd be done with it. We, like Khalilah said, we're over it. We know things will never go back to normal, but some type of normalcy would be nice. The kids are cooped up in the house. They're driving me crazy. I'm trying to do things with them. Like I'm trying to school my 4-year-old, but my teenager, he wants to get out and he keeps asking me every day, can his friend come over? And I'm like, no, because he's not in our bubble. And then trying to keep a young adult in the house is driving me crazy because he wants to be out and hang out with his friends and he doesn't understand why I keep saying no and I'm stopping his fun. And so trying to keep them in the bubble is hard, even though I keep explaining to them why. And, I even had to be a little harsh and say, like, do you really want to take the chance, go out there, contract something and die, or bring it back into the house where we have people that have pre-existing conditions. Right. So I know you're young and you're vibrant and you want to be out, but you have to weigh, the situation for what it is. Yeah. Nobody likes it, but this is what we're dealing with. This is our reality right now. So it was hard.
It's interesting because I see Kristin nodding her head back and forth because she also has a young and vibrant teenager in the house. Who, wait. Okay, first of all, I think we as parents, we probably want these kids out of the house more than they want to leave. It's like we were not meant to have these kids in our house. That's what school is for, right?
Right.
So Kristin, as a teacher and as a mom of this vibrant teenager, same question. You're heading towards 2021. 2020 was a ridiculously horrific year, at least to most of us. What were your thoughts as you was heading towards 2021?
Where do I even start? I'm getting heartburn just thinking about it. I can totally relate to the constant battle with the team. Like, well, why not? We'll win. And I'm like, I don't make the rules. We have to be safe. Well, so-and-so's doing this. Well, so I'm like, no. We all have asthma in this house. Like, no, and it's just like, you might be one of the lucky ones and be okay. Or you could have this, lasting, whatever. We don't know. There's too many unknowns. I'm not willing to take that risk. And I'm glad some people got to have a bubble because I couldn't. I'm seeing my family members on Facebook. I'm like, you're not coming over here. Sorry, we can't hang out. I know what you do. And they're like, I don't go anywhere. I'm like, it's just too much. And so it's caused a lot of strife between, immediate family members and extended family members because they think we're crazy. And then I have friends telling me I'm being paranoid because she had a drive-by birthday for her 1-year-old that wasn't really a drive-by. And they're like, oh, you're going to get out the car? We're like, we never planned on getting out the car. You said drive-by. I brought a gift. Here you go. Happy birthday. And it's to the point where, it's causing strife between those type of relationships. And so, and then with school, it's been a roller coaster because we go from, oh my God, teachers, oh, how do you do what you do? You guys should get paid more to you guys are lazy. You need to go back to work. Everyone else is essential workers and they're in the room with X amount of people. Why are you guys being wusses, about it? And I'm like, it's not that simple. It's not the same thing as a grocery store full of people. There's some things that you can control. It's just, to now where like I'm going through it with my district. So yeah, it's just been a roller coaster. But December 2020, I was in a dream, because it was like my teenager finally started to get it. I stopped getting invited to stuff that I had to decline. And plus, like, I'm like living my best life over here. Like, I'm totally antisocial. Like, I'm happy. I'm happy. Like, I'm like watching Netflix and, you know, just doing stuff around the house and going on walks with my new puppy. And I'm like, what's the problem? Meanwhile, you know, 13-year-old is just going through it, you know? And the 4-year-old, she didn't know. She's just like, she finally is like, when I turn 5, would a corona be gone when I turn 5? I'm like, I don't know, baby. I don't know. But it's been a roller coaster. But I think December, it was like things kind of settled in, but there was like a lot of hope, you know, with the election, and a lot of promising things, you know, just thinking about stability and thinking about having a clear plan, right? Like that unknown was just so stressful for like everybody, right? Trying to tell your teenager, well, this is the guideline. Well, this is the guideline. So it's been a roller coaster, but I'm still going through it right now with my district. So
Yeah, but you said you like roller coasters.
not anymore.
Not anymore.
So I can't handle it.
So, Tracy, as the entrepreneur and as a retailer at Florence Square, we look forward towards the holidays. That's where we make a lot of our money. People got spending money and they spend it on their loved ones, and it's a wonderful thing. And what were you thinking around that time as a retailer and as a person?
You know, by the holidays, it ceased being about the money. You know what I mean? I mean, certainly, we didn't want to see our business fold with everybody else's, right? But the virus had been politicized. We had just come through an election, and I have a full-time job as well. So for me, it was, I'm prayerful that all this comes to an end or some type of happy close. My expectations of us making a bunch of money throughout the holidays have pretty much dwindled throughout the summer. You know, I mean, as business owners, we look at quarters. You know what I mean? And so my first 3 quarters is garbage. So you know, Christmas wasn't gonna save us. Black Friday wasn't gonna do it. So I had already resolved that maybe 2021 was going to be us turning the corner. We just, you know, hey, we just start over next year, man. We write this off as a loss, and hopefully we'll have a favorable tax year.
And so I'm gonna stop you there, because we're gonna take a 2-minute break, and then my very last question is gonna be, what are your expectations of the future? Are you fearful? Are you hopeful? Are you thinking that we're going to see the end of mask in 2021, or is that going to go clear through 2022 and beyond? So let's take a 2-minute break, and then we'll answer that one last question. And we'll see you in 2 minutes. And thank you. And we are back to Square Biz, the official podcast of Florence Square, Sacramento's Black Wall Street, 2251 Florin Road, here in South Sacramento. People, I get excited because we got some exciting things going on. Did I mention the Wellness Center should be opening in about May? Health and wellness in South Sacramento. What a concept. And we're going to have it right here in Florence Square. And then in the future, we're going to have a food court. Yes, people, you'll be actually able to come to the square and eat delicious. Well, hold on now. There's delicious food periodically at the square, but we want to make it an everyday occurrence. Also, of course, our museum, which is open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Monday and Tuesday, they're closed. Wednesday is by appointment only, so you should know that. But whether you're driving from Elk Grove or from wherever these guys said they live, Rockport, Illinois. There you go. It's worth the drive. It's worth the drive because you're going to see something fantastic. How many people here, show of hands, know the story of Henry Box Brown?
Now I do.
Henry Box Brown? Well, there you go. Henry Box Brown was an African-American person during the slave days who mailed himself to freedom. Yes, he put himself in a box, okay? And he had help, of course, and they put one hole, threw some provisions in it, nailed it, put this side up, and for 27 hours, he was shipped from the slave wherever to Philadelphia, I think. And by the way, in case you think that anything is different from today, just because you wrote this side up doesn't mean it goes this side up. Okay, so yeah, there was time he spent like that for 27 hours. So yeah, there is an exhibit of Henry Box Brown to join all of the other fabulous exhibits, which by the way are interactive, and that they have a video and might I add, quite a few young people who serve as docents who, when you walk into the museum, they can share with you the entire history of everything that you see there. So it's a great and wonderful experience. I do know that some of you actually do get back to Sacramento. So when you do get back, and by the way, Khalilah, you have been to Flower Square, haven't you?
Maybe. It's been a long time.
Okay. I thought that you was part of the family tour, but no, did you miss that? I thought you was there.
No,
maybe not.
I don't think so.
Maybe that was pre-COVID.
Way pre-COVID.
Way pre-COVID. So, all right. Oh, the other thing that I'm excited about, and I had to really think about, should I say this? And I just cannot say this, but everybody who you see on this podcast today is my family, plain and simple. I have love for them all. I have love for them all. One, of course, is my niece, Khalilah, my children, Kristin, Tameka, and Natasha, and of course, my brother from another mother is Tracy. And so, I mean, this to me is a great and wonderful experience, and I just love all of you sharing your experiences. So let's do one more question, and that question is this, right? It is now 2021. He is gone. Okay, gone, and we don't have to worry about that, all right? There's talk about us getting our vaccines. I got both of mine. And many people are right. Okay, Tasha, did you get your vaccine yet? Are you planning on getting it? I won't. Okay. Tracy, how about you?
Due to HIPAA concerns, I cannot answer that question.
Got it. Okay.
No,
all right.
All kidding aside, I would say, because I do have other things going on health-wise, so I've not been vaccinated yet. But at some point I plan to.
And so the pundits say 75%, I think. Once we hit 75%, we'll all be free. We'll all be free. Right. So yeah, and that may not be true. But the bottom line is, for me, there is hope. I am planning a trip to Hawaii. I was planning it towards the end of the summer, and then I thought to myself, do I really want to get on an airplane yet? And the answer was no. Even with double vaccine, I'm still not ready for that. So we're going to drive and do something else. But I'm thinking by the spring of next year, Hawaii, here I come. So and Tameka, you used to live in Hawaii, right?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where my cup is right now. Look.
Okay, I don't want to hear it. Okay. I don't want to hear it. Anyway. Yeah. Tameka said, yeah. If you ever think about coming to Hawaii, come visit me. And then she goes, "Oh yeah, by the way, we're moving. We're moving to wherever, to Fort, whatever." I'm like, yeah, I'm like, oh my goodness, okay. Boy, did we miss that opportunity. So, starting with Tasha, give me your predictions or your thoughts for the future for you and your family, maybe for the country, maybe for the world. You go as big as you want. 2021, moving towards 2022. What do you think?
So, I'm into speaking positivity into the air these days. So I am going to say that by the end of 2021, we will see, the numbers drastically going down. I have my reservations about the vaccine, but that's pretty much only because I don't know much about it. And my husband actually got the vaccine yesterday, and my brother-in-law, and my mother is getting it tomorrow. So I just got to do my research so that I can feel more comfortable. I was afraid that I do feel like Juju, my middle son, will be going back to school in August. He'll be starting the 10th grade. I'm afraid that he's going to be forced to have the vaccine. I think by then maybe I'll have a better idea of, how I feel about it. But I feel very hopeful that by 2022 we will have gotten back to some type of normalcy and we'll be able to travel and not have to worry as much as we did March of 2020.
Okay, thank you. All right. Tameka, how about you? I'm sorry. Major Tutt, how about you?
Oh. So one thing about like when I joined the military, I remember just standing in line and getting all these shots I knew nothing about. And then here I am getting ready to go to Korea and I get another vaccine that I never heard of until it was time to go. And so I approached the vaccine like, if all these folks are getting in, I kind of did my research, I'll go ahead and do it. So I have both my vaccines. My husband finally jumped on the bandwagon, did his research, and he got the vaccines. I think because of the amount the military is getting ready to get, right now it's optional. I see it being mandatory, just like a lot of our other vaccines are mandatory. Like for me to go to Korea, I got to get Japanese encephalitis vaccine, just those mandatory things. So I see that being in the near future. I don't see it being a bad thing because just like there's exemptions for other vaccines for different folks, people will have exemptions for the COVID vaccines. I don't think the military is going to go away from the mask wear right now. I don't see it until next year, potentially, but they have slowly started to allow us to travel a little further. And so I do have high hopes. I'm getting on a plane tomorrow to head to Texas, me and my family, but I see a positive future. Especially come about the summertime, I see the military allowing people to go to beyond 250-mile radius. And then more people being vaccinated will increase the likelihood of the military saying, okay, this is how we protect our force. We're still ready to go to war. Go ahead, so hopeful.
Now, you said the summer. You talking about summer 2021?
Yeah, I see things this summer, like summer 2021, still wearing masks, still practicing all of the guidelines and guidance that was pushed out there. But I do believe they're going to allow us to maneuver a little more freely within those parameters of wear your mask, socially distance, stay within your family, those type of restrictions.
Okay. And how about Kristin, the teacher, the molder of young minds?
I think it can't get worse, right? I mean, that's what I'm hoping, but I think that I'm still cautious and a little bit wary. Just, I have my vaccination. I was eligible, fortunately. I still have a lot of people, like my husband's not eligible. He's not an educator. He's not an essential worker. He's not in that bracket. So he's he wants to get the vaccine. He can't at this point. And a very good friend of mine, she also would like, the vaccine, but she's not eligible. She's, so, there's that. And then there's the fact that I'm vaccinated doesn't mean that I can't contract the virus and be asymptomatic and bring it home to my family. So I'm very cautious, being that we're back in the classroom and now they're trying to open us up to like pre-COVID at this point. They're trying to open us up. And so I'm very cautious, like Tracy said, I enter in the garage, I change from my work clothes and stuff like that. And I'm eager, like everyone else, I'm over it. So I'm like, okay, what about softball? We were hoping to get the little one in soccer this past fall, but that didn't happen. So I'm looking at like, okay, softball's opening up. Oh, swim lessons are opening back up. But my husband's like, no, not, we still need to tread cautiously. Like, I just got married. So it's like, my husband.
oh my goodness. Okay. I's married now. Okay.
So every time I say that, I feel a little weird. But yeah, but just like with the new variant out there, that's a whole nother thing too. It's like we don't have a lot of info on like does it, like I know one of the vaccines kind of is showing good results against the new variant of COVID, but is it going to be like the flu shot? They're going to get it every year, or there's a lot of questions still out there. There's a lot of unknowns.
Yeah. Okay. And Tracy, how about you, the entrepreneur? And you was kind of alluding to this before. Well, why don't you complete what you were saying?
You kind of froze there, so I didn't catch all of your comment. But as far as my estimation of what 2021 is going to be like for the rest of the year, I'm with previous speakers that said probably still masked through the summer. I would guess through the rest of this year. My hope is that folks come out en masse starting during the summer or right before and on through the end of the year, but respecting all the protocols that have been set already, right? And that just becomes the normal for the rest of this year. But hopefully, it's all hopeful that we don't have a second round or a new wave or however you want to phrase it as a result of the variants. And, we're going to be standing in the gap like we always have, open, sanitizing, cleaning up after everybody, it's just nonstop cleaning, which, when you think about it, it's probably always been part of the protocol anyway. But, I think that there's some good things that are coming out of it. Just don't know where it's going, when and how it's going to end. So I keep my expectations extremely low in terms of what it will be. I keep my hopes extremely high.
Well, as you were saying, there were some good things, and we hesitate to talk about the good things, but that's true. There were some good things. I got a chance to see family members I haven't seen in like forever, thanks to this thing called Zoom. And before COVID, who knew Zoom, right? So that was kind of good. And then let's talk about these masks. People, these masks have become fashion statements. Okay, I saw this one day. She had on a matching pant, blouse, and mask outfit, and she was fancy fabulous. We're like, whoa, okay. So we know how to work it. We work the mask now,
So I'll say this in closing: the mask has created the perfect environment for my nose hairs to grow uncontrollably. So I'm past it. I think I'm gonna switch to the shield. You knew we wasn't gonna get to this meeting without me saying something off.
Well, okay, Desiree, here's where the editing comes in, okay? Okay, so it'll be okay. We got you, okay?
Yeah. Who's next?
Okay, so Khalilah, I purposely saved you for last because you can blow it all up, okay? Blow it all up, and or maybe end this with something. But I want you to be truthful. You as the medical person, what are your thoughts about the end of 2021 and 2022? And I'm crossing my fingers, but go.
Okay, well, I will say that I agree largely with everything that everyone has said so far. Particularly Major Tutt touched on some really important points, and I agree. I'm pretty optimistic overall. There's a lot of research, like I said before. I think I kind of jumped the gun with the last question that you asked, but there's just been a lot more research on the medical front. We're a lot more confident. There's still some unknowns, but we're a lot more confident about how to prevent disease, how to, particularly the coronavirus, how to treat it, and what to do moving forward. So I'm pretty optimistic. I don't think that we are going to see the end of mask wearing or social distancing anytime soon. Sorry, folks. I really don't think that it's going to be, this summer. Possibly fall, winter, we might see that kind of tapering off a bit. But I think it really depends on your location, and the industry that you work in. Like Major Tutt was saying, for the military, things are going to be different. Just like for healthcare workers, things are going to be very different. We're not going to stop wearing masks anytime soon because it's way too dangerous for us. And there are several new variants coming out, and we don't know what that impact is going to be like. We do see some trends, but we need time to have good data. And there just hasn't been enough time passed to say, yes, this variant is going to cause serious problems or not, and what those problems are going to be. So all we can do really is learn from the past, learn from, everything that's happened up until this point. So I don't know if that comes off as negative, but I'm pretty optimistic about everything. And despite all the things that have happened in this past year, I think 2020 has brought a lot of positive as well. Personally, my family and I, my siblings, we've gotten very, very close over this time. It's strengthened our relationship. My relationship with my teenage son is a lot better. Not that it was bad before, but we're even closer now than we were. I think it's also brought out a lot of creativity for a lot of people because we've had to become more resourceful. People losing their jobs, myself included. It made us look into things that we might not have thought of before, realizing that, okay, there's no job security here. Something like this happens that's totally unexpected, and now I don't have a job. So it's caused people to, look into owning their own business, starting their own businesses, and doing other creative things. And I think that's a good thing. I think also a lot of people have realized the importance of self-care, the importance of having a work-life balance. I think particularly as Americans, that's something that we don't always value. We take it for granted. We're very much like work-oriented people. It's ingrained in us. It's a part of, who we are. Whenever we introduce ourselves, we tend to say our names and what we do. Whereas you go to a lot of other places, they don't do that. But I think this time has forced us to slow down. It's forced us to look at things that are truly important. Yes, it's unfortunate, the circumstances that it took to get us there, but we can't ignore the good that has come with the bad. So yeah.
Okay. I call that cautiously hopeful. Okay, which
call it whatever you want.
Which is good. I mean, it's just good because you could have said, no, it's all going to, but we didn't say that. So I feel good about that. At least maybe, like I said, I'll get to Hawaii, maybe, and that's good, Okay, I really appreciated this conversation with all of you. I learned some things that I did not know. It's nice that it's from all parts of the country. And really quick, for the people who came in late, Khalilah, where do you live right now?
I am in Rockton, Illinois, which is northern Illinois, really close to the Wisconsin border.
Natasha, where you live right now?
Jonesboro, Georgia.
Okay, Tracy, you're on mute.
I'm in Sacramento, California.
Okay, Kristin?
Sacramento, California.
Tameka?
Port Irwin, California.
All right. So as you can see, there's different parts of the country. Really quick, did I read that there was a country that they said all the people was 100% vaccinated? Did anyone know about this?
I've heard.
Yeah, look it up. There's a very small country that said that 100% of their citizens were completely vaccinated. So that'll be very interesting. Hey, that gives me hope. And remember, people, if you don't want to wear a mask, there's always Florida.
Real quick, Aaron.
Yes.
Was one of the folks on this call a personal injury attorney or work for a personal injury attorney's office? Did I?
Okay.
Yes. That's Tasha.
Would you be knowledgeable about disability and all that kind of stuff?
I don't think he handles that unless, we could talk later.
Okay.
Tell me what's going on.
Okay.
So I basically, real quick, Aaron, not to hijack, and we can take this offline if we're still recording. Why don't we just stop this for now?
We are still recording, okay?
We'll take this for later. Yeah.
And Khalilah, my elbow has been hurting when I do this. I wonder if you can help me out with that, okay?
Sure, I can give you a stem cell injection.
Okay. Okay, and with that, you are listening to Square Biz Podcast, official podcast of Florence Square, Sacramento's Black Wall Street. I am Aaron Boyce, your host, with all my wonderful guests. We are so glad that you have joined us. We will see you again in 2 weeks. Until that time, I just like saying it. It's not mine, but it's so cool. I bid you love, peace, and
Square.
Wow.
I know. But it works.
It did.
And we are out.
All right, Mr. Boyd.